Well, it's time for another video. The title of the video for the 7th of August is RV News. Is it real? The dream I mentioned in the previous video continues to take a predominant place in my thinking. However, I must move on and not get stalled in those feelings. Because one of my longtime friends convinced me to invest $60 in the RV currency revaluation, buying $100 trillion, I have been trying to figure it out. I was told the ZIM, that's from Zimbabwe, dollar, would go first. In fact, it had to be done in 3 days. I think this, which is now Saturday when I'm recording, is day 2. Of course, there was no phone number provided to set an appointment, and my friend ignored my request for that. Now, how am I supposed to set up an appointment without contact info? I've been skeptical from the start, having bought into several schemes with big promises over the past 10 plus years. None of them amounted to anything tangible. Demons and criminals still run the world. Call me a doubting Thomas, but I can't get too excited about these too good to be true schemes. Oh. Yeah, I didn't look just now, but I looked earlier to see if my friend had responded to the email I sent yesterday morning over 24 hours ago. And there was still nothing. Let me just look real quick here. And there's still nothing. And now I got to find how to get back to where I just was. There it is. Okay. Anyway, as I said in the blurb, I've been involved in RUSA, which I still believe was the right thing to do. I do believe that if the world is ever going to be freed from this bondage and captivity to demons, we're going to have to reestablish the republic in the United States, since the United States is the warmonger of the entire planet. We're the ones that instigate wars all over the place, financing both sides against who? Because they profit. The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers profit tremendously every time there's war. And it doesn't matter who wins to them. All that matters is their coffers continue to refill. And so anyway, I invested a whole lot in RUSA. I was the Secretary of State for the Florida Republic, and was very much involved in that, as some of you may remember. And I became involved, of course, in Swiss Indo when that was promising to make all of us wealthy and redistribute the world's monetary assets. Of course, it turned out to be a scheme. I don't know if Mr. Sugi was in on the scheme or if he was one of the ones that was just taken in by the cabal, as well as many of the rest of us. I don't know who was telling the truth or who isn't telling the truth. I know we do need to change the system that the world has been operating under. It is a criminal operation. In any case, I was pulled out of that by the ambassador, who promised me initially $5,000 and then was going to take me to Hong Kong, and I had to get a passport quickly and had to pay for it out of my own pocket. He was going to reimburse me. That trip never happened, neither did the reimbursement ever happen. Nothing tangible that he promised ever materialized. The only thing that ever was true is he did show concern when I was in the hospital, calling, as I've said in other videos, calling my family, calling doctors, and keeping abreast of the situation. But ultimately, that friendship with the ambassador cost me a significant number of friends on Facebook, because when I was going through that rough time, I wasn't very tolerant of people that were criticizing and telling me I was wrong and and throwing stones at the ambassador. I wasn't tolerant at all, and I blocked a lot of people. I probably blocked, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 people. I've never gone back and tried to count, but I blocked a whole lot of people. Some of them may have been well-meaning, but they weren't coming across to me as well-meaning when I blocked them, or I wouldn't have blocked them. If they were kind and considerate, which they weren't, they would not have been blocked. And of course, I went on to work with the Dragon family for a while, and even as late as my trip to Australia, the Dragon family, the ambassador, was still going to help, and he was going to connect me with people in Australia that were going to help support me. And boy, when I lost my hostess and lost all of the accommodations that I thought were in the bag at the beginning of the trip, it all became insane. I really needed their help, and nothing materialized. So now I've chalked up the ambassador as another false flag that I believed was possibly going to deliver something. And the most recent one, of course, is the revaluation of currency, which one of my longtime friends has been pushing, trying to get me to invest in, and I have ignored every request by everybody through the whole course of this time. I've never invested in trying to make money out of money. This is the $60 is the first time I've ever made such an investment. I've invested my time and talents and abilities, but I've never invested money till this $60, which is supposed to make me a lot of money. I'd be happy if I ever see it, because I'd sure like to be able to not be dependent on my son, and not be needing a place to stay and not knowing how to conduct my future, because I feel homeless, even though my son gets mad at me when I say that, as I've said in other videos. I have a roof over my head. That's true, but it's not my home. It's somebody else's home, and I'm a charity case, and I don't like being a charity case. No human being should be a charity case unless they're really in a dilemma, and most of the dilemmas that humans get into are created by the cabal, by the system, which is not fair, not just, not honest. Everything is corrupt about it, and it needs to change. And I will continue to want to see the kingdom of heaven manifest on earth, the restoration of the republic in the United States, if it has to go through normal channels, so to speak, and it can't just be an imposition of something put on us by extraterrestrials or something. It needs to be, some beings need to be taken out of the picture by being arrested or whatever, and funds need to be made available to everybody, because that's our money. Wealth does not come from the creation of money. It comes from the labor and creativity of human beings. That's you and me. We are the value. We always have been the value, but we've been lied to, and we bought into the lie. And I want to see real change. And as long as I have breath, I will be working toward that kind of real change that makes us all ultimately free to live our lives the way that we feel best, as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else. Of course, that's the underlying rule that cannot be broken. And yet, whoever the creator is has allowed it to be broken for millennia. Doesn't seem right to me. Does it to you? Anyway, continue to pray that the kingdom of heaven will manifest, that humanity will be liberated, and however that happens, it needs to happen, or we're going to destroy the world again. Simple as that. Thank you for listening, and namaste.